Glad to be back. I believe this is my first session post Thanksgiving. Thank you all for being here. I cannot tell if LinkedIn is live or not, but I'm just going to proceed um, and go ahead with this one. All right. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. I hope everybody is back and just getting in the spirit of the holidays. All of my conversations this time are around the holidays. Welcome to another episode of Thriving Beyond Borders with Nnamdi. I am your host, Nnamdi Henna, to the founder and the CEO at the African American Collective. And every week on Thursdays, I come to you, Thriving Beyond Borders as a platform to really provide tools and resources and mindset to help us navigate our life here in our new home as immigrants. And I hope you've been finding value with all of the conversations that we have been having. Um, and today, very quickly, I have another exciting topic which a lot of us are dealing with right now. If you are African like myself, you're probably navigating this first generation, first immigrants, maybe the first one that's coming to save your family. Then this is probably something you're dealing with. The dual budget, right? Balancing US bills, emergency funds, and financial support back home, back home, right? That's what I'm talking about. That dual budget, balancing bills here in the US, emergency funds here in the US, and financial supports back home. We've been talking about the pressure. Last time I spoke, I believe I talked about the pressure that comes with this season, navigating the holidays, and I talked about having a budget. So I'm going deeper. I'm kind of doubling down on that conversation today, and really getting into it because it's a reality that we deal with right now. A lot of people come from money. There's immigrants here who are kids of politicians, who are not worried about the same thing, right? Who have maybe come from wealth, are doing well. And this might not pertain to you because you're doing good both here and back home. You're living well. If this is you, congratulations. Your parents have done well. You have done well. So just forward this video to somebody else, or keep supporting what we do. Make a donation to AIM because we could use this to support other people. But for the majority of us, it's not the case, right? The case is we have to support ourselves here in the US. And if you start having a family, yourself, your family, but the people back home have an expectation as well. You are now in the US, and so you need to live up to a certain expectation. There is certain things they start looking out to you to do for them. There's certain obligations that are expected of you. That's just a standard. And as much as we might not like it when you're here, you have to remember that when you were back home, you can't change the rules now that you're in the United States. You cannot change the rules. When you were back home, you also look to your uncles and aunties in the United States who came back every December, once every period. You look to them. Some of us listening to this, an uncle abroad might have trained you in school, right? Or helped with medical bills for your family, helped with building a home or something like that. So it's just been a generational thing. And yes, there are certain things that need to be curbed, and we're going to talk about some of those things today. But outrightly thinking it's going to stop, or saying, hey, I don't know things are hard here and all of that. No, it's you weren't thinking the same as well. You were measuring you people by the same. So it's your turn now. Don't try to move the goalpost backwards. Come on, man. All right. Let's get serious. So it's the reality that we have to deal with is what I'm trying to establish. The financial reality of the diaspora is we have bills here and we have obligations back home, right? For some of us, we have bills here and bills back home. If you have younger siblings who are still back home, if you have, parents back home who might, you've not been able to bring over here, those are people that look up to you. If your parents trained you in school, sold land to send you abroad, they are looking up to you to reciprocate. It's now your turn to take care of them. And you are in this situation where you have the opportunity to do so. I honestly think it's a privilege. It's a privilege if you are in a position to, especially with your immediate family, your parents, people who paved the way, who made sure that you are in this position. It's okay for them to have expectations. The way our system is designed, how many people, how many parents, elderly ones of that generation retire with a real pension? The ones that have a pension, maybe they don't even get paid as frequently. So, and they knew hey, how many of them have real investments or had the opportunities to save when they were sending out, 3, 4, 5 kids to school, right? And so they put all of their eggs in that basket of I'm going to do my best for my child, with hopes that when they get to a certain point, they will reciprocate, right? And that's why, and I don't want to take this really dark, but when a parent's in a situation where their child is not able to afford that, or maybe they even lose the child completely, it's devastating for them, right? Because that's the hope they had. It's when you see kids, something happens and the child can is not in a position, you see it's devastating, because people say things like, man, when this woman was supposed to start enjoying the fruits of their labor, this happens to her. When this man that has worked so hard all his life to train his kids and raise his family is supposed to enjoy, the enjoyment there is when you're supposed to start taking care of them, right? So it is noble, it is honorable, it's something culturally, it's a cultural phenomenon that has lasted generations for us. It's an infrastructure. It's a retirement infrastructure that has been put down, because of the kind of system that we've had. With time, I'm hoping things change. I'm hoping the future is brighter for the country, most of African countries, to where you don't have to be dependent on your kids. I'm hoping, things. I'm optimistic that things will get better. But for now, it is what it is. Those responsibilities that your parents had, they might not be able to fulfill that anymore. And so they are looking to you to step up and do those things. And so the pressure is real. The pressure is real, because the bills are real here, right? The obligations you have here in the United States to live, to survive, to pay bills. And so it's an immense sacrifice that we're making, right? You're not just managing one budget, you are managing two financial systems, right? You're managing multiple time zones, two households, in some cases, multiple, right? I don't want to get into personal details, but it's like, I'm catering for my parents, and then my parents have people that catering for, that they depend on us to keep, channeling. So there's like, it's not just them, it's everybody around that they're, all of that. So anyway, so it's not, it gets stressful. It gets stressful, and this is where we need to think critically. How do I navigate this? Because you want to definitely live up to the expectations, meet your obligations, but you don't want to fall behind on your bills. You don't want to dig yourself in a hole and put yourself in a bad situation, right? So it's not selfish for you to start thinking of, how do I secure my own financial foundation here in the US, right? How do I secure myself before committing to endless support, right? Endless obligation, that black tax. It's not selfish. It's strategic, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. I always remember, whenever you get on the flight, they will announce to you, if you have a child with you in this flight, and for any reason there's a turbulence, put on your mask first before you help the elderly, before you help the child, because you are no use to those people if you are not okay yourself, right? So it's okay to figure out, how do I make sure that I'm in a good situation? Because if I'm good, I'll be in a position to be able to help the people back home. So it's not selfish to think of your own stability first, right? It is not. And I know it's not the thing you will hear, right? Sometimes our families have a way of guilt tripping us. They tell you the stories, and maybe that's not their intention, but when they tell you how bad things are, or the things that need to happen, the things that have not happened because there's no money, you feel like, man, have I failed? Am I doing well? It's almost like a call to action to do something. Resist that urge. Resist that urge. We're going to talk about, what to do and how to navigate that. But just know that you can't pour from an empty cup, right? You can't give what you don't have. You need to be okay to help others be okay, right? So you're not selfish for thinking about yourself first, and thinking of, how do I stabilize first before I'm able to reach out. If you start, and a lot of us did this, myself included, the moment we saw any money coming in, we had to step in and start doing stuff. And again, it's noble, it's something I'm proud of, but it's a strain. Right? It's almost like I've not really stopped to enjoy what this country has to offer. So it's a strain, so it's not. So my goal is to provide us like a 3-pillar system today, to how to manage your US obligations, your US, bills and everything, while maintaining intentional, healthy support for your family back home. Right. So there's a few risks that we're dealing with. Here in the United States, prioritizing family support over your own personal US security, this is a risk. It's a risk, right? Again, I fell into this category, and again, I'm grateful for the position that I'm in and I've been privileged to be put in, right? But what happens is it leads to high interest consumer debt. And I swear I can speak to this very clearly. Credit cards, because again, you realize, okay, your income is not enough to meet the needs. You start your first job, might not be able to afford the take care of you, talk less of solve the problems that are back home that add up and become expensive. Yes, it looks like, okay, I send $100 and it looks like a lot of money, but then you realize it's not one thing you're sending money for, and these small bills add up to something. They add up and become huge because it's $100 here, it's a broken fence there, it's school fees over here, it's somebody sick here. And so if you prioritize, support, back home support, you're probably going to be in a situation where you're borrowing, right? Getting into debt. And again, I've done that, still navigating that, and it's dangerous, right? Because now you don't even have an emergency fund. You don't have a backup, and then your credit cards are maxed, and so you don't even have those to fall back to, right? And that's the consequence. If anything happens, you lose your job. Anything that happens, the pandemic happened, the medical bill. Some people cannot afford to have a broken vehicle, right? If a major expense in the house, it shakes up your entire financial life, right? And then suddenly you can't help yourself and you can't even support your people. So you need a shield. You need something to protect you, right? A lot of immigrants I know, again, money comes in middle of the month, end of the month, and it's flowing right out. And so people are literally funding their life through credit card, and not for them. It's really just sending money back home to solve problems and do things. Again, it's noble, it's not a bad thing, but we have to be wise about how we approach these things. Especially now, the holiday season is here, obligations, bills, everybody's preparing. We need to renovate the house, we need to do this, we need to do that, that. So it's unending, right? So that's a risk you run if you say, hey, I'm going to prioritize making sure we're good back home, and then I'll start thinking here myself. Trust me, that never happens. It's not going to happen. There's always going to be a need that you're solving, and all that will lead to is at some point you're out of patience and get frustrated, and that's why people start separating from their families. They start seeing their families as a burden, and it shouldn't be the case. Um, Family is a blessing, always will be. I love family. I believe in family. I think it's God's infrastructure to help us live above depression, and especially in this immigrant journey. The second risk is the endless pit of remittances, right? Sending money reactively based on daily requests. That's a risk. Again, I kind of already talked about this a little bit. It's spontaneous. You're sending money based on, oh, there's money here. Oh, buy this. There's medication need here. There's this one. There's no structure to it. It's a lot of, and what that will lead to is emotional fatigue. You don't have a meaningful budget that you're working with. It's chaos. Um, and like I just said, you'll feel like you're never done, right? It's and this the danger with this is it creates a dependency. It creates dependence. No empowerment. It leaves you vulnerable to just manipulation that can happen. And again, I'm talking to our people now, so we know ourselves. We know how we can get. There's that. I don't want to call predatory behavior, but they know, hey, we can call you and then cry about something and make you give money or get money out of you. So people begin to play on your kindness because they know, hey, if we call, chances are high we're going to get something, right? If you set up infrastructure that way, if you set yourself up that way, it's not going to stop, right? Because you are now enabling bad behavior, right? I was talking to a friend, a good friend, one time, and he said, "Now, just if you can, when all those things that they sound like they're about to die, and it's about to be, if you don't do something, all hell is going to break loose. If you can just hold yourself to survive that how that desire that, oh, you have to do something, if not you're a failure, that emotional turmoil that you're going through, if you can just endure and get past it, you realize people will always find a way to and it will deliver you from this shackle, right? We need to move from reactive support to proactive support. Like it shouldn't be based off of like, hey, this is what's happening, this is how I'm feeling. Oh, I just have a need here. Or so no, needs can't just be manufactured on a daily basis. And then the first thought is, let me reach out to my brother in the US. He has a family too. He has bills too. He has obligations too, right? He has things. So it needs to be like it's if we don't train our people to think like that and know that truly money doesn't grow on trees, but beyond that, even if it does, right, you're still going to go out and work to pluck the money. Um, and there's a lot of work involved. You have obligations, you have taxes, you have rent, you have right, you have responsibilities. You have a family and you have to, take care of kids. It's even heightened, right? So there needs to be that. Uh, um, we need to if we're not structured in our approach, all you do is enable bad behavior, right? It will lead to you encouraging people to push your buttons, honestly, because you've given them the permission to, by not having some structure to how you give or how you support, right? So you need some kind of budget, some kind of strategy around how you provide support. It has to be proactive, right, not reactive. All right, so the three pillars I talked about, what are they? I call the three pillar dual budget strategy. So home and abroad, depending on what you go. If this is home now for you, or home is still home and this is abroad, but you get what I mean, like diaspora and Africa. How about that? So pillar number one, secure your base, right? Secure your base. If you follow Dave Ramsey, he talks about this baby steps, debt snowball approach. And after you get out of debt, the next thing they encourage you to do is to have an emergency fund, and that's 6 months of your US, a 6 month shield basically, where if anything happens to you, you have 6 months worth of to take of expenses. It's not a 6 month. People think, okay, that's 6 months of my full salary, or what I'm earning. No, I'm hoping that you're not spending everything you're earning every month. You might be doing that now if you're, supporting everything and all. But the whole idea is, if your bills and expenses and living costs come to $3,000 a month, $4,000 a month, let's say $4,000 a month, that means in emergency funds you need to have at least $24,000 saved, that's available to you, that if I don't earn for another 3-4 months, I'm not going to be on the streets tomorrow, right? If I have my car breaks down and I need to spend $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 to get it back on the road, I have a purse where I can go pull that from. So have an emergency fund. Again, the recommendation, a lot of people, I use the Rams as an example, but a lot of people you still go with this 6 months, this 6 months approach of your expenses, right? So that's your rent, food, you know, debt payments if you're paying car notes, credit cards, any of those things. You want to be able to still pay your bills, right, every month. So 6 months is the goal. 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Again, this is important to have in place, because emergencies happen. That's why it's called an emergency fund. Um, you know, start working on putting that away. If you don't have this, you need to start working on putting it away, right? I'm not a financial advisor, but there's different ways to save your money to make it continue to. There's high yield savings accounts, so it's accessible for you, but it's not like in some complex investments vehicle where you can't withdraw because it's emergency, so you need to have access to it. This is not investment money. This is savings. So you put it in some savings account that is not giving you the miserable savings account returns that we have. So high yield savings accounts. Again, talk to your accountant, talk to your CPA, talk to your people. Where should I put my money? My 6 months emergency fund. So that's pillar number one. Number two, formalize the support your budget. Right? Formalize the support budgets. That is where you set boundaries. Okay. Create a separate fixed line item on your monthly budget called family support. Family support and remittance. This is the pool of money you put every month. Something comes to you. You have a dedicated amount that is going to family support. You have obligations. Do not forsake your obligations. I do not have any respect for the person who decides Your family has supported you all your life. You come to the US and you abandon them. I don't subscribe to that. I think that is irresponsible. I'm going to say that categorically. But at the same time, I am also saying it's foolish if every money that comes in goes home first before you cater to take care of immediate things here. All right. If you have a family, you have to take care of your immediate family here first. All right. So you know how much you earn. Plan around that. Cut your coat. How do you say that? According to your coat, right? We used to say cut your coat according to your size. Now it's according to your coat, whatever it is. You get the point. Make sure you are one living within your means. Let a portion of your income be dedicated to supporting your family. Have a dedicated amount, a blind item on your budget that's dedicated to family support and remittance, right? Figure it out. You earn the money. Take some time, think on this, talk to your spouse. If it's just you, do what you have to do, right? The rule here is a fixed amount that does not change based on requests, right? It's the budget. If you budget that amount, I won't put a number. That's the answer to all the requests. If anybody comes, well, like, this is the budget, this is how much I can afford, I'm happy to send you. Do what you please, right? That's your capacity. Once you hit it, that's it. Till next month, right? But it is your capacity, and that's, you let everybody. You don't have to give them the number, but you let them know you're working with a budget, and this is how much. So I found a what do you call it now? Some ratio like 50-30-20 rule, right? 50% is your needs, 30% your wants, 20% savings and debt. So in that, building your support within your needs and wants, right? So it's among the things that are essential. It's not like in that needs and wants that you want, it's critical. It's not in the savings. So don't touch savings, but within that 80% you have to leave for yourself. Include your support budget inside of that, right? It's super important. Please have a dedicated amount, so hey, every month I have $300 that's going towards this budget line item. I have $100 if that's where your capacity is, right? But you have that. If there's critical needs, okay, you know what, mommy, I can afford to take care of. I'm going to send you money for medicine, your medications. Every month I'm going to send you this amount of money. And it's based on your budget, based on what you have coming in, right? So it's super important that we do that. That helps you set boundaries. That helps you, again, know your capacity. And what that does is you can be consistent. Once people know you're consistent and they know that they're expecting this thing from you, they know what to ask. Like, it's you basically, because what you're doing is you're training them. Okay, so we've done this, myself and my siblings have come together. Okay, what can we do relatively? And so every month, everybody, we've agreed this amount, so I'll bring it together. We're going to contribute and then take care of things we need to take care of to support. When my family was back home in Nigeria, so we did that. Those of us that were here, we came together, we came up with a plan. Now that parents are here, same deal, right? Okay, we still need to support, we still have obligations. What is everybody bringing? So it's what that does is everybody looks, hey, this is where my pocket is. This is my capacity. And everybody's able to, we're able to do what within our capacity. So now my job is to ensure that I'm living up to, and I'm consistent with my, with my budget. I'm disciplined to do that. All right. So now the third pillar. So pillar one, secure your base, have your 6-month emergency fund. Pillar two, have a budget. Use a budget. Have a dedicated portion of a budget be for support and family support, remittances. Let that be covered in your budget, so you know exactly what you have available. It's not that that's what you are given. You must not finish it, but that's the pool. That's your limits. That's the cap. The third pillar is optimize and empower. This is where you play the long game, right? Review your money transfers. Who am I using? Remitly, Western Union, right? Find the cheapest one with the least fees. A lot of them right now do no fees. There's a lot of opportunities there because those fees add up, right? That small $1 that's removed, $2 that goes out over a period of time could have been one major bill paid back home, right? With the exchange rates. So make sure you're stretching every cent. Use low fees or no fee, exchange, services. Look for the ones that have the best exchange rates. Again, there's a lot of options now, so that market is very competitive. So do your research. Don't just go with an option just because. Okay, what's the rate with this person? The same way, back home we used to have the in Nigeria, we have the bookies that exchange dollar. You look for the best rates, you negotiate. Look for the best rates and the best fees. Look at one that makes the most financial sense, where you can your dollar can go the farthest, right? And work with that. So that's optimize your dollar basically, and then have that empowerment focus. Shift your support from simple consumption based things, right? Again, people will find a way to eat. A healthy person finds a way, right? Groceries, electricity, those things. Start start moving your resources and your to more capital investments, paying for education. Okay, somebody wants to go school fees, because you know that eventually it's not going to be forever. This person is going to come to a place where you empower them to do well for themselves and they won't be dependent on you, right? Um, Small side businesses that's doing stuff. People want to you just let there be more empowerment focus. Now, if you're dealing with elderly parents, sick relatives that you have to support, this might not be applicable. But for healthy relatives that fall under your kappa, you have younger siblings, you have younger cousins, people that are growing, don't be consumption. Let your support not be consumption oriented, right? So for your elderly parents that might not be able to work all of that, you pay for their groceries. You have a budget that's buying them food, pay for their bills, make sure they have the home to stay, healthcare, all of that. It's covered. You take care of it. They took care of you. You do the same, right? Grandparents, or you have people who have health issues that can't do this for themselves. But once we go into younger ones, right? Youths and 40s and 50s, maybe 50s, 40s, anything from 50 down, that are young enough to work and go out. They just need you. So now your job is more augmentation and empowerment, right? How do you get them to a place where they are stable, not are not dependent on you, right? And in that way, that budget can go to somebody else. If I get to a place where you can take care of yourself and cater to your needs, now you don't need me. You graduate from college, you get a job, somebody else gets to benefit from this, right? That should be the mindset. Move from just the food. Oh, I'm hungry. No, that's not all we're talking about here. You know, Somebody wants to start a small business, side hustle. Again, the same person can't keep coming and having a new side hustle every month, or a new business to add to, because then at that point they're just being frivolous, right? So be wise and smart about this, but start moving. Like, hey, instead of you asking me for this all the time, what are you looking to do with your life? What are you trying to accomplish? Are you going to school? Okay, I can pay for you to go back to school. I can pay for you to go learn a trade, because I am empowering you, right? Oh, you know what? I found this program. I feel like, see, you did this in school. I think I can take this course. I'm going to pay for it so that you can go and learn that and then go get a job, right? You can start moving from just bread and butter, daily bread approach. Give us it that daily bread is a prayer to God. You are not God. I saw a pastor make this reference in one of his videos. Said, if you anybody who thinks he's the El Shaddai shall die. So don't try to be the El Shaddai, or you shall die. But I say this to say, and I'm being very serious about this. You have to start looking to, again, for younger people, for people who are in position to go out and do something for themselves, then be more empowerment focused in your support, right? For people who are sickly, elderly, and that, yes, those are the daily bread, situations. If you're able to, please continue to support those ones, but again, do it within the realm and your budget. There might be situations where you have to stretch yourself, but it shouldn't be every month. It shouldn't be every week. It shouldn't be every day, right? An emergency happens, daddy is sick, he's rushed to the hospital, they need certain amount of money for an emergency surgery, we need to fly him abroad, something like that. Yeah, that budget is not going to cut it. That's emergency fund. That even comes in, that's another place where it comes in handy, right? So emergencies, we treat as emergency. I am talking about sustenance, send me money type situations. we operate within the budget. Hope that's clear. All right. So boundaries are important, right? Boundaries. So have that honest conversation, right? Start having those honest conversations. Start talking to the younger ones, like, what are you doing? How can I support you so that you can stand on your own, so you don't have to depend on me, right? Have honest conversations. Listen, this is what I can afford to do, right? You have, elderly ones and all. Let them know, hey, this is my capacity. I know this is what you need, but this is what I can do. I promise this one, as long as God keeps me and I have a job, I'm going to be able to send this amount of money to you regularly. Make that work, right? It's like, don't feel guilty for not doing beyond your capacity, because when we try to do beyond what we can do, that's what leads to people making mistakes here, getting involved in things they shouldn't get involved in, getting in trouble, getting into credit card debts, and all of that. So please, uh, um, yeah, that's there's a lot to say. This is a very complex conversation for a lot. I know somebody's listening to this and telling me you don't have an idea. What if what of there are, and I'm painting not ideal pictures, but maybe not realistic pictures for some. But even in that situation, still put some thought into how do I effectively do this, right? And again, for some of us here, we might need to stretch ourselves, maybe get a better job, start looking to upskill and increase how much we earn so that we can do more. But you can't do what you can't do, right? If you don't have the capacity, you're going to break if you keep stretching yourself to a certain level. And that is the truth. So please, uh, um, look at your bank statement this week, especially that we're in December now. Um, look at the amount of money you've been sending back. Look at your annual expenses, and have an honest conversation with yourself, right? You know, and then create a budget. That's your job. Create a budget. Take some time. Part of the things you resolve to do coming into the new year should be, this is how I'm going to operate. Let's be responsible with our revenue, our resources, even if you can afford it. You still have to have a plan, right? Again, hopefully we get to a place where money is not our object, and we are so wealthy. America is good to us, and again, we just have unlimited money. So I solve the problem of what I'd love to be in that situation. I'd love to be more generous. I'd love to do more. But until you're in that situation, you have to have a budget. You have to have a plan. If not, you're going to keep putting yourself under duress, under unnecessary stress, and those needs are not going to stop. So you deserve financial peace here in the United States. Again, sounding very Dave Ramsey-ish today. That is not my intention. There's so that nobody goes into like, hey, Dave Ramsey said this, and I'm not advocating for Dave Ramsey. I just listen to the guy sometimes, and I agree with him on some things. So please, you have obligations here. Remember, like I said, the example I gave in the airplane, the hostesses will tell you, make sure you put on your mask before you help the child or the elderly person. And that's all I'm saying. Put on your mask before you go help somebody else. God bless you all. I will talk to you again next week. Thank you for hanging out with me. And please continue to thrive here beyond borders. And just before I go, please check out if you're in Georgia, we're doing our end of year celebration. We have our final meeting this week. I'm holding a meeting with the whole AIM community on Zoom. Well, we'll be talking about the things that we've had happen this year. It's going to be just, if you have questions around anything that we're working on or what we've done, then you'll be able to ask those questions as well. But I'll be giving like a state of the community kind of updates to everyone. So I look forward to seeing everyone there if you can. And then on Sunday, if you're in Georgia, we're having our end of year celebration. We're just coming together for a small, nice breaking of bread and fellowship. And there'll be new information that I'll be sharing during both of these events. So I'd love to see you in these events. Thank you for hanging out with me. God bless you. And I'll see you next week by God's grace.